Welcome to a flipped session of Vocabulary TO2. Doing it differently, tips for teaching vocabulary. You can also go to the classroom and join the TOT presentation, English Language Investors, school year 2017-18, and underneath there's a classroom code, UMB5QQ. Just with every single presentation, we want to make sure that we are going back to our shared vision. In Klein ISD, every student enters with a promise and exits with a purpose. And today we want to focus on the equity piece right here.
Make sure that through all your sessions, you go over the content and language objectives. You want to make sure that your teachers are reading it orally and using the sentence stem.
Okay, this video is optional for their training. You may choose to show the video to your teachers. Basically just talks about an EL student who struggles in the classroom. It's a very powerful video. So if you have time, I would make sure that I would go ahead and show this video.
Next, we have a video showing how you can incorporate the vocabulary into your language objectives. This would also be a video that you could share with your teachers, especially if they are not comfortable with using vocabulary in their objectives. Next, we have an optional activity called the Prediction Cafe. You may read about it in the classroom and choose it if you would like to.
Okay, selecting the vocabulary for teaching. Basically, vocabulary is divided into 3 tiers, Tier 1, 2, and 3. As you note in the description, Tier 1 is your basic vocabulary words, which are everyday words that the students use, or high-frequency words. Tier 2 are your information processing words that nest Tier 3 words in long sentences. These words are basically your connectors, sophisticated words for rich discussions, and also occur on your state testing. These are the words that are usually not taught within a content area, so it is a must that you need to teach them as Tier 2 words. And these are also known as your motor words. Tier 3 words are your more subject-specific words that label content discipline concepts, subjects, and topics, and these are also known as your brick words. So these are your words that you teach in math, science, social studies, and ELA.
This is another overview of the tiered vocabulary. As you saw before, Tier 1 vocabulary words are everyday parts of speech, and then Tier 2 will appear in written text more than it does in speech. Tier 3 is going to be more specific to the domain that you're teaching, such as we said previously, math, science, social studies, and so on.
This screen shows that it does take multiple encounters with the word, so teaching vocabulary should be explicit. This screen tells you that how to select the vocabulary that you want to pre-teach.
Okay, this is just an example that you may show your teachers. Let them know that this is a excerpt from a science class, and then they are going to go ahead and label Tier 2 and Tier 3 words. As you can notice, Tier 2 words are marked in red, and Tier 3 words are in blue, and those Tier 3 words are more specific to science content.
Okay. I was looking, it was counting down.
So next, you can go ahead. This is an optional activity for your teachers. They're going to read the paragraph, choose the vocabulary according to the tiers, select the words that need to be pre-taught, and then there's a graphic organizer. But if you don't have time, you can go ahead and skip this activity. So as you can note that we provided you with a passage that you can have your teachers do. and labeling tier 1, 2, and 3 vocabulary.
This is a sample lesson that's going to show your teachers how to break it down and have a sample lesson, because the first steps will be to introduce the word. That usually takes about a minute. Then you go on with teacher explanation of the word for about 2 to 3 minutes. Students will then create their own explanation of the word. This usually helps them create a connection to it, so it's easier for them to later access this information. Students need to be engaged with the word. This usually takes about 5 minutes, and it requires a teacher's accurate and flexible use of the word.
Okay, here's a video. If you're an elementary campus, you can go ahead and show this example of how to build vocabulary into your lesson. This next video is for secondary campuses. It's an example from a math class. Now what we're going to have you guys do in your campuses, you can go ahead and divide your teachers when they're about to do this activity, and then one person can go ahead and do sentence stems, the other person can do word walls, the third person, if you have a presenter, can work on the FAIR models, and your teachers are going to rotate in each of these areas. And then we have provided you with slides. So for example, you have sentence stems. So for one rotations, your teachers on their own in a group will look at these examples. They can watch videos, look at some sentence frames, and then you can differentiate your sentence stems accordingly for beginners, intermediate, advanced, and advanced high. And then they're going to have an activity that they're going to go ahead and place their maybe post-it notes for beginner, intermediate, and advanced high students for each of their content areas. So this can act like an exit ticket for each of your groups as well. The next activity, your teachers can work on word walls.
In this particular section, you're going to be seeing the different types of word walls that you can have in your different content areas. You can also explain them why the use of word walls. It helps them anchor the long-term memory, and it develops a print-rich environment, which we all know our ELLs need in order for them to grow the vocabulary. Make sure that you tell them that using the word wall is something that they need to do. It needs to be planned because it's going to be more effective if it's done through that. And then you're going to have different models as well.
On this screen, it shows different word walls that you can use in your classroom. You can have high-frequency word walls to just about anything that you are teaching in the classroom. You want to post the important words that you want your children to learn, especially the Tier 2 words would be great.
Okay, the next activity that your teachers will engage in is the FAIR model. This is a strategy that uses a graphic organizer for vocabulary building. You can also have a campus-wide initiative with Tier 2 words that maybe all your content area teachers can incorporate and use every day with your students. Basically, the FAIR model has 4 sections. It allows make sure you are giving you're providing the definitions to your students. They are writing examples, non-examples, drawing a picture, and writing a sentence for each of their words. Here's another example, and all of the sections are labeled accordingly. Okay, different examples. Okay. We even have the FAIR model in a differentiated version. So if you're a beginner student, this is what you can have your students do: intermediate, advanced, and advanced high. So a really nice piece right over here for your differentiation for your students. Here are some resources for Multilingual that you guys can use.